Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Financial Quarterback. Today we're here with Len Geisler and Greg Kaplan at Evans, Hausman and Richard Insurance Agency in downtown Pottstown. And we're going to talk a little bit about managing risk, both on the personal side and the commercial side. So we'll hop into it and we'll introduce both Len Geisler and Greg Kaplan. Guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Good morning, and thank you, Richard. My name is Len Geisler. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at Evans, Hausman and Richard. I've been in the insurance business for about 22 years now, and here at Evans, Hausman and Richard, we've been downtown insurance agent for over 80 some years. Started in 1931, moved to this location in 1994. We've acquired different agencies over the years, and today it's owned by myself, Greg Kaplan, and our other partner, Pete Hallman. Greg?
Yeah, my name is Greg Kaplan. I've been in the insurance business for about 10 years and started out in the benefits side, and about 5 years ago came into Evans, Hausman and Richard, where we set up a benefits division as well, and gave our clients a chance to use Evans, Hausman and Richard as a one source for all their insurance, and we can get into that a little bit more as we go forward.
Good. Sounds like you guys have been in the business for a while and have lots of combined years of knowledge, which is really important. And I always try to tell our clients that it's critical to work with someone who actually knows what they're doing regarding these matters, because when there is a problem and risk does show up, you want to make sure you're adequately covered for it. Right. And oftentimes people, sadly, are not.
That's what makes, I believe, one of our agency stand out a little bit here in the community is that we've been around so long. Many of our employees have been with us over 20 years.
That's great.
So they really do connect with their clients and the downtown community, as well as the Tri-County area community. So really, when people come in to the office here, we do, as Greg said, try to be a one source for everyone, whether it's in commercial insurance or personal insurance or the benefit side of things.
Great.
Yeah, and also with online purchasing, a lot of clients have left us and come back. They went to the, I'm not going to say the names of the carriers, but you know who we're talking about.
Sure.
And have come back to us for that reason. Buying insurance online is maybe not the way to go, and we bring a real consultative approach to it, and we look at everyone's needs, and everyone has different needs in insurance.
That's a great point you bring up, Greg. I mean, a lot of people can buy almost anything today online, but I try to remind people that just because you can buy something online doesn't mean that you should. And really, you don't pay a doctor because he has a sharp little knife.
Correct.
You pay a doctor because he knows how to use a sharp little knife.
Right.
Same thing in your business, same thing in mine.
Yeah.
So people, I think, generally learn the hard way, and they do come back.
They do come back.
Usually, in my case, usually come back with half as much money as they had before, but we'll still take them because we don't hold that against them.
That's right.
A lot of my clients and a lot of financial planners out there, many of their clients are, individuals, and there are a lot of them own businesses too. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about some of the things you do for people on the personal line side, and then we'll talk a little bit about maybe some of the commercial types of insurance and how they kind of come into play.
And do personal?
Yeah, I mean, and again, just for an example, the other day was a good example of how we work with a client. It was a woman that had been with State Farm for over 20 years. She had a very large net worth in her early 70s. Had only $100,000 worth of liability on her auto and $100,000 on her home.
Wow.
And no umbrella policy. Again, we can talk about the policies in a little bit more detail. But I sat down with her and went through, every aspect of her exposure and what she was looking at. No one had ever really done that. It was more of a product that she purchased 20 years ago and let it go, and never really evaluated it. Always looked at the premium, never looked at the coverages. Sorry about that. So again, that's the type of relationship we start out with. It was a referral, by the way. I would say 90% of our clients come to us through our clients.
That's great.
Yeah, so Len, you want to add to that?
Well, on the personal side, I mean, that today, personal is the insurance that most people, if they're going to shop online, they're going to shop for. And the big thing is, like we talked about, is to make sure the coverages are correct with what you have. as in your business, you want to cover your assets. Liability on your home insurance, on your auto insurance. You want to make sure you have enough there to cover in the event you're in a catastrophic accident and somebody comes after you for the liability within that accident.
Sure.
Everybody wants to go with the minimum state limits that you hear commercials on all the time. Well, yeah, you get what you pay for. In the long run, when it comes down to it, you're going to be dipping into your savings and or put your house and your family in jeopardy if you don't have the proper coverages. So on the personal side, Greg mentioned an umbrella policy or personal liability policy. That gives you overall protection over top of what you have underlying. So it's the secondary level after your auto and your home insurance would be exhausted,
right,
in the event of a catastrophic type of an event. So it's definitely something that a lot of people miss, especially people that would have more assets, savings and quite a bit of nice house and that type of thing. But it's really should be out there for everyone.
Sure, and then umbrellas are something we always recommend to our clients just to make sure their assets are covered. And oftentimes the umbrella policies are relatively inexpensive, a couple $100 a year maybe. And you could even pay for that extra cost by just increasing your deductible on maybe your home or your auto policies.
Right. The
savings there covers the cost of the umbrella.
That's correct.
So many clients are so concerned about getting their window replaced, their windshield replaced because a rock hit it.
Right.
And they're not thinking of that big catastrophic event. And,
yeah.
The people that we sit down and talk to and explain it line item by line item, it starts to click. Like, oh, I better protect myself.
Yeah, people
for a couple $100 a year.
Sure. Yeah, it's easier just overall for people to imagine a rock hitting your windshield on 422 rather than something huge happening.
Correct.
Like being disabled or crashing your car and killing someone, even though you didn't mean to. Right. If you've never done it before, it's hard to imagine it. It's definitely challenging. Guys, another question I often get when I'm working with clients is, we've got some teenage kids and they're starting to drive, and should we, get them their own car insurance policy or put them on our policy with much higher limits and just have them drive our cars around? What's kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we get that question all the time, and from personal experience, obviously with my own family and now Greg's family, we're right into the thick of it. So I empathize with every parent out there that has that dilemma. A lot of times you hear all these great stories. Oh, we're buying our child a car, or I want my daughter or my son on their own policy. First of all, if they're under 18, they can't legally sign a contract either with us or with a car dealer. So today at 16 or 17 years old, car is going to have to be bought into a parent's name. Insurance is going to follow the title. So if the title is put into the son or daughter's name, they definitely have to have their own insurance. Now, the thing is that today, people want to complain when the prices are as high as they are for kids, and it's rated on their age group, not how they're using the car or anything else like that.
Sure.
I try to tell my clients, if they can, is to buy a vehicle that may not need the comp and collision, the additional coverages. Liability only on a vehicle where they might buy a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 car. If their son or daughter would be in a minor fender bender or an accident and they can drive the car without have to worry about replacing it, their insurance is going to be much cheaper. Because the liability is going to be based upon whether it's a newer car or an older car. It's based on their age bracket. But once they throw the physical damage, the comp and the collision on that car, that's where you really see the spike in the insurance, in the rates for that. So, sometimes putting a son and daughter on their own policy is not always the best thing to do. Depending on the carrier that they might go with, they may lose a multi-car discount. If you had a son or daughter and you put them with the same company and they had their own policy, then they would get a multi-car discount while they're still living at home. If they're with a different company, they're going to lose the multi-car discount, which can be a nice discount as well.
Gotcha. So it's really important to kind of have a professional guide people through the different nuances involved, so they cannot, spend maybe just an arm versus an arm and a leg on insurance when their kids start driving.
Correct. Correct. And most companies out there don't require you to add your son or daughter onto your policy until they physically have the license.
So permits don't count.
Permits really
Okay.
don't matter. Most carriers today, we get notified from our clients that, oh, my son's got his permit. Then we start looking at what possible rates, and that's when the conversation starts.
Gotcha.
But today, with the Pennsylvania laws, they have to be on a permit for at least 6 months
Right.
before they can get their license. And I recommend if the parents can afford it and they have in school training, the behind the or the classroom, that they go for the behind the wheel through a driving training school. It's about 6 hours of training, which is mandatory, but it does give them a discount through the age 21. For a driver training discount. So it is a 30 hours classroom training and 6 hours behind the wheel, and they can find out more about either that through a school. They can talk to us, or go to a driving training company.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And those that have the good student and the driving behind the wheel
Correct.
get a decent discount.
Yeah,
Okay.
good
It
does-
student
it all
discount
helps.
is
All
there
right.
too.
Sure, all the discounts you can get. Why not? All right, cool. How about commercial clients? What are some of the things that you guys talk about with your commercial folks, other than insuring their building if in case it's on fire? What are some other important liability and risk management considerations that they should ponder?
A lot of it has to do also how they're set up as a company. We deal with a lot of sole proprietors
Right.
that are tied into their personal assets as well. They don't have that level of protection between business and personal. Even LLCs, it's a little bit of a risk there. So, we sit down and really look at their needs. Commercial insurance is a completely different animal than personal insurance. There's a lot of nuances to the policies. We're looking to protect the company from liability, products completed, slips, trips, and falls. Workers' comp is an issue for employees and employers, depending on the classification. That can be a pretty large premium. Roofers tend to be, extremely high workers' comp premiums compared to an accountant.
Right. Accountants don't fall off many roofs.
Not too many.
Right.
But there's a lot of nuances and areas that we have to look at depending on the type of industry and the type of client we have,
Okay.
from restaurants to offices to retail to contractors. Len, you can elaborate a little bit more.
Well, you make a lot of good points there. A lot of it depends on, again, the size of the client and who the client might be. Since we deal with many small one-person shops, maybe the small contractors, a lot of times there's a little bit of a blur of an issue between personal insurance, home insurance, and their business insurance.
Sure.
Especially when you're in business, if you're using part of your home, or if you're using your personal vehicles for your business, outright business, there could be some gray area in the event that you would have an accident.
Right.
Was that vehicle being used primarily for your business trade, especially contractors with trucks? So a lot of times it's an education process to sit and talk with the client to say, how are you doing your business? And that's on the smaller 1-2 person small contractors. Your larger clients, where you have employees, obviously everything that would go into a business, everything, again, from your nuts and bolts and your mortar and brick, from their building to what type of business they are. Some of our clients, the professional clients like yourself, definitely should, if they don't have it, have errors and omissions or E&O insurance. It's their professional liability. We have to have it. Obviously, you have to have it. Anybody that's has a security license has to have it by trade. But there's a lot of companies out there that might be in that area that doesn't require, either through an agency like the Insurance Commission or the securities, that E&O policy covers their professional liability. They've recommended something, whether they've drawn a design or if they've given advice on something to a client and they're being paid for that advice. If that advice doesn't turn out to be the way they say it to the client, and the client has a claim of some sort or something doesn't live up to that, they can come back and say, hey, you didn't know what you're talking about. And that E&O insurance is going to basically cover you for making a mistake. So it's not just the slip and fall things a lot of times people forget about. It's the professional liability. Not every company or every type of profession needs that, but a lot of times that's something that is overlooked. And that's where, again, coming to a professional agency, it's much like going to somebody in your position, we're going to sit down and we're going to pull all that stuff out. When you go to a doctor, they ask a lot of questions to get to the root of your problem.
Sure.
Well, we have to do the same thing here as well.
Absolutely. What about EPLI? And that's an interesting type of insurance.
Yeah, that's a product that's it's been around for a while. It's basically employers practice liability insurance. Thank you. It was added. Many companies started adding small parts of that to their business owners policy, but it's really grown into more a needed type of policy, and companies have put together their own specific product. And what that is it covers in the event that when you do your hiring and firing and you have your employee relations, in the event that somebody feels that they were sexually harassed, or you didn't do a hiring correctly, or you fired somebody correctly, or if they feel like they're going to bring suit against you for wrongful termination, or anything related with the employee-employer relationship, it gives you coverage as the employer in the event that somebody makes a claim. And all they have to do is make a claim to the Equal Opportunity Board, Pennsylvania Federal. And once that ball gets rolling, it doesn't really stop until both parties come to some sort of agreement, or they have a mediator say, no, there was no malice here, or there was no claim.
And it forces the employer to now lawyer up.
Correct.
Now the clock's ticking, and money's being spent to try to protect your name and yourself.
So really, it's kind of like HR insurance,
Really,
sort
correct.
of,
Really,
cover all
yes.
your human resource issues that might result in a suit from an unhappy camper that
We
used to
ran-
work there, and
yeah.
maybe their firing was just, but they don't think so,
Well, most cases, when it comes down to it, they find that the employer did everything correctly, but that could drag out a year or two in court. And what's nice about this product is that it covers all your legal fees.
Oh, that's great.
If it's put together correctly.
Sure.
That's, again, you have different parts of the product that you can put more on defense costs, or it doesn't come out of your overall total package, the amount of the insurance. But 9 times out of 10, the employer has found that there was no problem.
Right.
But in the meantime, especially a small mom and pop shop, if they have to have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in legal fees, it can certainly put them out of business.
Sure.
So this really protects them for their defense costs going forward. Now, if there is a judgment, then they have the other pot of money, maybe $500,000 or $1 million or $250,000 that would go towards the judgment.
If they actually were wrong. in what they did.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool. Sounds like an interesting product.
Again, from a premium standpoint, like the umbrella, it's fairly inexpensive. I mean, you're looking at between $500 and $1,000 a year.
Wow.
To put a product like that in place for a small company. I mean,
Gotcha.
larger companies is going to cost more, but
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. How about with all the identity theft that's happening these days? And it happens to everybody. Even people who file their taxes online are getting their identity stolen.
Right.
Which is fascinating that that's happening. But is there any way that a business can protect itself from identity theft or theft of funds from their bank or?
We just and Len started a relationship with a company by the name of CDIA, a Commercial Deposit Insurance Agency, a local company. It just came on the market in the last few months, and again, a lot of people aren't aware that their commercial bank accounts are not protected through the FDIC.
So commercial's not, but personal obviously is up to $250.
Yeah.
Well, FDIC insurance it's federally regulated.
Right.
It basically covers bank failure.
Right.
All right. In the event your bank would go under,
Right.
your personal deposit accounts and your commercial deposit accounts in those cases are covered up to the 250.
For bank failure, it's covered no matter
For,
what.
for
Gotcha.
bank failure.
Okay.
What this product is unique for, it's only for commercial accounts. In the event that my information was hacked and they got my commercial login information, or somebody got into my commercial account, if they wiped me out, they wiped out my payroll for the month, 60, 70, 80,000, whatever it might be, or 50,000, I have no recourse to go to the bank. The bank, under Regulation E, does not have any, they're basically
To make you whole.
nullified.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't have to do anything. So this product was developed by Mark Kramer with CDIA. I met with him back in December, and we've partnered together, and we're the first agency in the area to offer this product. It's off, we're able to get the website out, and people can 3 questions and they can get it. And it's very, very cheap for a $50,000 policy. We're talking
$75
$175 a year.
Wow.
So it's
And right now, that's the cap. I mean, the most they can insure is up to 50,000. As the product gets a little bit more entrenched
Sure.
in the business community throughout the country, they're hoping to get that up to a higher number. Their goal is to get it up to 250 insurable dollars.
Gotcha. Most people probably don't know that the banks aren't liable.
Correct.
If somebody hacks your information and takes all your money, the bank doesn't have to do anything for you.
They can-
Most people, I would imagine, would think the bank is responsible for that.
Right, and it's not.
And it's not. And you know, like I say, we have a flyer that we've developed and we can send out to people. But you know, the Regulation E basically is it nullifies the bank from any type of responsibility in that, and it covers any type of commercial account from a nonprofit agency to you know, your regular commercial account. So the people I've talked to, the companies and the small nonprofits, absolutely say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that." You know, here you have a nonprofit that might have the money in a money market account, which is, as long as it's a checking type of an account, it's eligible. So they've worked and they've saved this money. And like Greg mentioned, right now it's at $50,000 cap. Again, that's an underwriting issue. Because it's a new product, they want to see how it rolls and gets out there. So
But it's getting traction, and I mean, they're always sending us articles every day of an account that got hacked at a Fortune 500 company, and you know, $1 billion in the last, however, you know, in 2012 was hacked into, you know, so
It's like everything else. It's hard to imagine until it happens to you.
Right.
And then if you're a business owner and you can't make payroll, you're really in a
yeah,
tough spot.
Again,
And,
it would put a lot of companies just out.
Yeah.
and
Right
it's
away.
purchased on each account. So if we have 2 or 3 different accounts that we're working off of, each
Gotcha.
account would have that policy on
Cool.
it. So.
Sounds like an important component of one's overall business insurance plan.
It definitely is something that is going to grow traction as people find out more about it and the word of mouth gets out there. And again, programs like this is a great way to promote something like this, because it really is needed out there with everything that's going on
Sure.
with, you know, like you said, cyber theft and that type of thing.
And as technology gets even more techy every day, I can only imagine this is going to perpetuate and become more of a problem going
Exposure,
forward.
Yeah, big exposure.
Correct.
We have a few minutes left, guys. What makes Evans, Hausman, and Richard different than other agencies in the area? I mean, there's a lot of them out there. So, are any organizations you guys belong to that are kind of like maybe civically
organization,
oriented? Or,
Go ahead and start rattling them off.
No, I mean, like I said, we're a full service agency. We really tried to put our customers first. Really scour the market. We have many companies, from large national carriers to excess market carriers, that we can virtually put and cover your risk with any company. You know, our people are our asset. We are in many different organizations. We're part of the Chamber. We're part of the BIE NARI, the Rotary clubs, the Elks clubs. I mean, we do have representation in a lot of different organizations downtown. Being downtown, we're right here to service our clients. And there's a lot of great companies out there. I would just say, hey, come and see us. We do our best for our clients. That's what it comes down to.
And I will say also, we have second and third generation, clients here.
That's great.
Mom and dad from 1940, and then sons and daughters, and then their kids. And so it's pretty amazing the loyalty that has remained. Yeah, we lose some clients, but a lot of them come back. But we have a great retention and a great loyal base, and a great staff that has been here for a long time.
And we've developed partnerships with other folks just like yourself. I know we don't have that capability of doing the mutual funds and the stocks and the financial, and that's where you're part of our network that we've talked about, and we use some other people for the accounting end of things, and we've also made partnerships. So not only coming to see us for insurance, they're also going to get a full network of other professionals that we feel good to deal with.
That's terrific. So it's not always about, well, with some people it is about price, but I guess it's more important, as you found, to kind of offer a really good value proposition, for your client for what they are paying for. And as a result, you have, as you mentioned, multi-generations of clients, which is terrific.
And they can come in and get all their insurance needs met in one location.
So they don't need to drive to 16 different places.
Got it.
Right.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you for coming to the Financial Quarterback, or actually we came to you. This is your office, and we enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Richard.